Yu Menglong's mother has gone missing. China's Ministry of Public Security hints the case is tied to the upcoming Fourth Plenum. Convoys of military vehicles roll into Beijing. A mysterious rocket streaks across the skies above the western hills. The biggest leadership shakeup in years is about to erupt. Stay tuned to FinalWar as we dive into the storm at Beijing's core. Welcome back to FinalWar with Katherine Hu. Once the Yu Menglong case became entangled with Beijing's elite infighting, the atmosphere in the capital, already turbulent and unpredictable, grew even more abnormal. If the looming showdown at the top is the open battle line, then Yu's case, with its constant escalation and hidden maneuvering, forms the shadow line. Today, we connect both the open and the hidden lines to trace their latest developments. There is a great deal to cover, so fasten your seatbelts as we head directly into the storm at Beijing's center. And at the end of this episode, we will share a story that many find extraordinary. Yu Menglong reaching out through a dream. But first, a heartbreaking update for millions of Yu Menglong's supporters. His mother has gone missing. Just last week, a document began circulating online, what appeared to be a grievance letter, written by Yu Menglong's mother. It was dated September 17th and stamped with her red handprint. In China, a red handprint is no ordinary mark. It is a solemn act, carrying the weight of a life and death vow. To evade censorship, she did not use Yu's name directly. Instead, she called him Dou'e, the tragic heroine of China's most famous wrongful passing tale. In the letter, she wrote, "What I cannot accept is that those behind my son's death publicly claimed it was an accident, using false words to cover a serious injustice, trying to erase his life as if it meant nothing. They fabricated lies, confused the public, and tried to use their power to escape accountability. But they forget. A mother's love and memory for her child can never be buried by lies. I hold key fragments of evidence from before and after the incident, along with eyewitness testimonies. Together, these prove beyond doubt that my son's death was no accident, but a deliberate act of harm." She ended with a plea. "I beg every person of conscience, if you know any details surrounding my son's passing, if you are willing to speak out for justice, please share this letter. Let more people know the truth." Every line dripped with anguish and determination, but just as people across the world were praying for her safety, the worst may have already happened. According to the overseas whistleblower known as Lao Deng, intermediaries who tried to check on her received this chilling reply.
"We can no longer reach Yu Menglong's mother. She has likely been taken into custody and transferred elsewhere. She is not in Xinjiang, nor in Beijing either."
Think about what this means. A grieving mother whose only demand was the truth. Not only was she denied justice, but she has now lost her freedom. Her voice was cut off, and the tragedy of Yu's case has now extended into his family. On the global advocacy platform Avaz, netizens have launched a worldwide petition titled "Justice for Yu Menglong." Written in both Chinese and English, it appeals to people everywhere to pay attention to this case. The petition sets out 3 demands. 1. a formal case be registered and that the relevant authorities initiate a comprehensive, independent, and transparent investigation. 2. If the investigation confirms the existence of illegal wrongdoing, judicial proceedings must be initiated according to law, ensuring that those involved are held legally accountable and face fair trial and sanction. By the time this episode was being recorded, the petition had already gathered more than 150,000 signatures. I have signed it myself, and I invite you watching this program now to also take a minute to add your name and join this global call for justice. Even under the harshest internet controls Beijing has ever imposed, the Yu Menglong case refuses to fade. According to information leaking from the Ministry of Public Security, the blackout on all reporting and discussion is to last until at least November, meaning until after the Fourth Plenum concludes. Why would Yu's case be tied to the plenum? Perhaps the answer lies in the troop movements around Beijing. On September 28th, domestic footage submitted overseas showed massive convoys of more than 100 military vehicles moving from Baoding City toward Beijing. In just half a minute of video, one could see armored carriers and tightly covered troop trucks. Baoding is home to the PLA's 82nd Group Army, part of the Central Theater Command. And this army is known as the core unit loyal to Zhang Yuxia, vice chairman of the Central Military Commission. Just weeks before the plenum, the 82nd suddenly appeared in force on the road to Beijing. Of course, in theory, one cannot rule out that this was just a routine drill by the 82nd Group Army stationed in Baoding. But consider the timing. It was September 29th, just 2 days before National Day, and state media Xinhua News Agency had just announced that the long-delayed Fourth Plenum would be held from October 20th to 23rd, still about 3 weeks away. Against this backdrop, the sight of such a large convoy heading toward Beijing becomes far more intriguing. In other words, after delay upon delay, the Fourth Plenum is finally about to open. In fact, it should have taken place in the fall of 2024. Yet only after a full year's postponement did Beijing finally announce the date. An unmistakable sign of how intense the infighting at the very top has become. On the evening of September 30th, viral video captured a strange sight. A glowing object streaking across the skies west of Beijing, leaving behind a long tail and what observers called rocket clouds. Netizens asked what exactly happened over the western hills. None of China's 4 official launch sites are anywhere near the capital. So what rocket was this? Meanwhile, speculation continues to swirl around Xi Jinping's health and his weakening grip on power. Since the third plenum in 2024, rumors of decline have only grown. With the Politburo and Central Military Commission left half empty, few believe the system can hold together until the 21st Party Congress in 2027. That is why the upcoming Fourth Plenum is seen as a decisive moment. Will Xi surrender part or even all of his official posts? Will he step back from the Politburo Standing Committee? What is certain is that the largest leadership reshuffle of his tenure is about to unfold. The Central Military Commission is expected to change hands. More than 10 senior generals are already under investigation. 9 ministerial-level officials have run into serious trouble. And the Central Committee faces a full reshuffle. This is not only the outcome of fierce infighting, it directly affects the stability of the entire regime and the path China will take next. Seen against the backdrop of Beijing's life-or-death power struggle before the Fourth Plenum, the Ministry of Public Security's order to censor Yu Menglong's case until November speaks volumes. It shows the blackout is less about the case itself and more about shielding the plenum. Professor Mingju Zheng of National Taiwan University has also argued that those implicated may be linked to the Fourth Plenum. Speaking on the program Frontline Politics and Economics, he emphasized that the scope, intensity, and duration of censorship over Yu's case is extraordinary. The scale of account deletions and tracking down of users discussing it suggests something far deeper at play. Mingju Zheng stressed that this is not to say Yu Menglong's case definitely involves senior officials directly, but the likelihood is high. The individuals implicated may not be top leaders themselves, but rather their children, relatives, or close associates. And for the case to erupt at such a sensitive moment is telling. Otherwise, it is hard to imagine how the sudden passing of a young actor could so quickly be ruled out as having no legal responsibility assigned. The only explanation is that it touches on political power struggles. And indeed, Yu Menglong, innocently caught in the crossfire of elite infighting, lost his life wrongfully. Even now, he seems to be seeking a way to break free from the system's grip. On her Chinese-language YouTube channel Believe It or Not, host Li Min shared in an interview a curious story about Yu Menglong appearing in a dream, one that many found deeply thought-provoking. Li Min explained that while producing programs about Yu Menglong's case, she encountered many unusual phenomena. One viewer left a message describing a dream he had of Yu. He wrote that he was not a fan, but had seen Yu's dramas before. In the dream, the scene was at a school after classes ended. He recognized Yu instantly. A celebrity, but also like an older classmate. Yu showed him around the school and then walked up to him, speaking directly. Finally, Yu asked, "Do you know the two words in my heart?" The viewer added, "I didn't have time to answer because I woke up, but I think the two words might have been freedom." Later, he read online that some self-described sensitives felt Yu was still bound by a system he could not escape. "I guess it's the CCP," he wrote. "I also think he should step away from it, make a declaration to withdraw from the party, the Youth League, and the Young Pioneers." I wonder, could this dream count as a reason to help him do so? Li Min said she was deeply moved by the viewer's mention of a system of shackles. Yu Menglong was trapped, she explained. He didn't know how to break free. In other words, even though his physical body had passed away here, in another space, his soul space, he was still locked in by that system. Li Min noted that many people once doubted whether making a statement to step away from the party system had any meaning, but she believes it does. Everyone knows the soul does not die. After it leaves our three-dimensional world, its destination is different depending on whether it remains bound or is set free. If you are still inside the system, even after you leave this life, you remain under its control. You have no freedom, no light. If you step out of that system and align with the divine path, then after you leave, you can go to a bright, beautiful place. We all know heaven is bright and beautiful. Li Ming said she even tried registering a symbolic withdrawal on Yu Menglong's behalf through an online site. Within less than a minute of completing it, she felt something unusual. Though she had never watched Yu's films before, she suddenly sensed, or even seemed to see, him. And in that moment, Yu appeared joyful, smiling with relief. Sadly, Yu Menglong missed the chance to make such a declaration while he was alive. An overseas acquaintance, who asked to remain anonymous and identified himself as Wu Yang, told an independent Chinese language outlet that he first knew Yu back in middle school, though they were in different grades. Both shared a passion for photography, and that brought them together. He recalled that Yu was genuine, loyal to friends, and always valued relationships. Even after Wu Yang moved abroad, he and Yu kept in touch online and over the phone. Wu Yang explained that after moving overseas, he witnessed more clearly the abuses the party had committed in China over the decades. He urged Yu to make a statement to step away from the system.
I was on a video call with him while walking down the street. In the background, there was a banner about withdrawing from the party. I told him, "This could protect your life." But sadly, he didn't listen. Instead, he told me, "Be careful. Walk away quickly."
We can only hope that Yu Menglong has now found real peace, true freedom, and lasting release. We hope his mother will return safely. And above all, we hope that more people in China will awaken to the dangers of this system and make the right choice before it is too late. Justice for Yu Menglong. Get the real story behind the CCP's shifting power games and see where US-China relations are headed next. Support the vision of a new China without communism. Subscribe now and join us in bringing the truth to light.